Let's pay respect to the triple gem together before we start. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagavan Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivantemi Savankanto Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Saṅghang Namami Andamayang Puttassa Bhagavato Upapā Kanamakarang Karoma Se Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good morning, everyone. Wherever you are, welcome to the Friday's morning. Today is the 1st of October, 2021, and my name is Rongpi Narongchai. I'm going to be your host today for the Sutra study. This is the, I believe, episode number 4. We are going to learn the Sutra together. On the topic, it's about the first teaching of the Buddha, which is the setting the wheel of Dhamma in motion. As we're familiar with the Pali term, it's called Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra. Here this morning is very special. So we not only have our participant here from many countries. Okay, they got here a few days ago, prepared themselves for the ordination in next week on Tuesday. The ordination will be taking place at Wat Ban Khun, Chiang Mai, Thailand. So this batch is the last batch ordination of this year. We have 10 people from 9 countries. Joining us, and many of them are here. The program actually starts today, the 1st of October, run till the end of this month, which is the 30th of October. And it's just a perfect day today because the sutra that we are going to learn together today is the first teaching of the Buddha. Okay, and you guys start here as the first day of the training. What a coincidence. Okay, so it's just a perfect match. So it's okay. I know that you guys are new for a lot of things for ordination, for the Buddhist culture, for the Buddhist text. You from non-Buddhist background, it's okay. You're here to learn. Okay, so sit back and relax and get to know the teaching of the Buddha together. So again, let's take today as a starting point of seeing the overview of the teaching of the Buddha. Whether you are Buddhist or non-Buddhist, I think it's always good to get back to the original teaching of the Buddha, which is kept in the Buddhist text. Okay, this sutra is Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra. It's kept in the Sangyutta Nikaya, which is one of in the Sutra Pitaka. When we talk about the Pali Canon or the Sutra Pitaka, this is the place where all the teaching of the Buddha is kept, divided into 3 baskets. Pitaka means basket. So these 3 baskets is the basket that keep all the teaching of the Buddha. And the thing is, it's kept in Pali, the original language. And then later on, it gets translated to English, Chinese, to Thai, to Myanmar, to many languages. But the authentic teaching is kept in Pali. That's why they call the Pali Canon. So the first basket, it's called the Vinaya. It kept about rule and regulation, what monks and the lay people can do, cannot do, and should not do. And all the manner is kept here. So when we talk about the Vinaya, we look for the information from this basket. And the second basket, this is where it's kept the teaching of the Buddha. Throughout 45 years of his teaching career, everything is kept here. Every single person that he met, all the teaching, everything that he taught was memorized by his personal attendant. His name is Ananda. You get to know each person later on, but just get familiar with the name. Ananda memorized all the teaching of the Buddha, and he kind of reconfirmed that after the Buddha passed away. And people put them in this basket. So 45 years of his teaching, all the discourses keep here. And the last basket is called Abhidhamma, is the high level, the advanced teaching of the Buddha. In this basket, there's nothing mentioned about individual. There's no human being exists in here. It's talking about something abstract, talking about the mind, the quality of the mind, rising and falling of the mind, and things like that. This is advanced. So altogether, it's about 84,000 discourses kept in here. And it is said from the teaching of the Buddha himself is about 82,000 discourses. And another 2,000 discourses is from his, great disciple, Sariputta, Mokkhalana, Ananta, okay, Mahakassapa, those great disciples. They teach as well, and their teaching also kept in this sutra as well. Okay, so that's the big picture. I will not go over this, okay? This is the structure of the Tipitaka. We'll get to that later. The idea of today is for you to get to know where exactly that the Buddha gave the first teaching, where it kept in which sutra, which particular canon, okay? And what exactly that it said in that particular sutra. So we get to know that. Even though I was born Buddhist, you know what? I never, ever actually open the text and take a look where exactly that the Buddha teach. Everything I learn, everything most Buddhists learn, we learn from someone. And this is the primary source of the teaching of the Buddha. The only place where we can get closer to the teaching of Buddha. And how come we don't get to that source? We take the easy route. We learn from YouTube, we learn from internet, we learn from books, we learn from scholar. And nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. It's okay to start off anywhere you feel comfortable, but find time to get back to the original teaching. And that gives you confidence, especially for those of you who are going to become a monk, and some of you are looking for long-term ordination. I think it's a perfect start of today as your first day of the training to get to know the first teaching of the Buddha together. So this is the name of the sutra, Setting the Wheel of Dhamma in Motion, or Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra. It's kept in Samyutta Nikaya, and this is the Pitaka, okay? The Vinaya, the Sutra, and the Abhidhamma. So altogether is about 84,000 discourses. Let me give you a little bit of background before we jump into the sutra itself. If you imagine yourself back to the Indian time, the time of the Buddha, this is one useful information for you before you study the Buddhist text or the teaching of the Buddha, to imagine yourself back to his time. So you kind of, understand the context, the environment over there, okay? The Buddha was born prince, okay? He was a man, right? So last episode, we're talking about Ariya Pariyesana Sutra, and that sutra is a beautiful sutra that talking about, the Buddha talk about his own life, why he ordained, what did he discover in that particular sutra. And then at the end of that sutra, he talking about, he was giving the first teaching to the first 5 students, which is Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So this is the sutra that we learned today. It continued from last episode, okay? But I want to give like a very short background. So Buddha was a man, okay, was born prince, was born successful, was born rich, and born powerful. Basically, life was perfect in the palace, but he feel like, something missing. I believe, you guys can relate to that. You come from successful background, businessman, highly educated, and you still leave everything behind and seek for the life of a monk. Same thing with something bothering Prince Siddhartha. So basically, he got himself ordained. So back then, by the time that the Buddha gave his teaching career, 45 years, and that time, okay, in another side of the world, you think of Socrates in Greek time, he was doing similar thing. Smart people back then, they asked themselves question, what is life? What is the meaning of life? And how to live life noble? But people nowadays, we don't care about this question. We want just to make a living, more money, more relationship, more education, more success. But people back then, they're talking about life. What exactly is life? What the meaning of life? How to live life noble? Okay. So I like to put this, this is the book maybe you guys familiar with, Man's Search for Meaning. It's a good name, okay? People back then search for meaning. As a human being, I believe we are responsible to find the truth of life, whoever you are. You monk, lay people, doesn't matter. You from American, and from Thailand, from China, doesn't matter. We are responsible to seek for the truth of the nature of life. That's why man should to search for meaning of his own life. So you should have freedom to do what? To choose your own way of living life, right? And that's what bothering Prince Siddhartha. He was not satisfied with the life in the palace. That's why he left. He left everything behind. He got himself ordained, and he looked for teacher. He learned from 2 teachers. He was not satisfied either because he didn't get the answer. He didn't get all his questions fully answered. So he did not stop there. He went on his own search until he finds something that satisfies himself, and all the question that he has fully answered. And that's the general, background. So he done searching, okay? He got himself enlightenment. And now he was thinking, oh, who should be the person that I share what I found? So back then there were many spiritual teachers, not just the Buddha. Buddha is just one of them. There are many great teachers back then. They teach about what? They teach about true nature of life. They teach about spiritual liberation. They teach about something that, beyond the mundane world. Buddha was one of them in search for that. So he learned from many teachers. And now he become one of the teachers. He discovered something. And now it's time for him to start sharing what he discovered. So he was thinking, oh, who should I share? Okay. So he was thinking of his first two teachers. It's too bad, both of them died. And then he think of the first 5 students. These 5 group of students happened to be the first group of people who served him on his 6th year of his spiritual search by support him for self-mortification. But he wasn't success in that journey. So he stopped torturing himself, and then he went on his own spiritual development. So these 5 ascetics left him alone. So now the Buddha got himself enlightenment. So he tried to locate them, to pay gratitude back to them, and to share with them, hey guys, this is the right path for the spiritual liberation. Now I'm going to share with you what I found. This is the starting point of his teaching career, first 5 students. Okay, so that's the background. So the sutra start like this. Thus have I heard. That means someone heard something, right? If you see this sentence. So who heard what? Thus have I heard means this is implied that Ananda, his personal attendant, heard this sutra from the Buddha. Remember everything that kept in Sutta Pitaka or in the Pali Canon, it happened after the Buddha passed away. Okay, after the Buddha passed away, a group of monks get together, and Ananda was the master in the Dhamma or the discourse of the Buddha, and Upali is another monk who mastered in the Vinaya. So they kind of reconfirm this is exactly what the Buddha teach. So Ananda said, thus have I heard. I heard the Buddha say something like this. One occasion, the blessed one, the Buddha, the teacher, the Tathagata is the same person. So when you open up different books, they use different terms. Was dwelling at Varanasi, is the name of the city, in the deer park at the Isipatana. This is the name of the forest where they catch the deer, where they have the deers there. There the blessed one addressed the bhikkhu. Bhikkhu mean what? Bhikkhu mean monks, right? Mean ascetic. Okay. Actually, monk is the English vocabulary. Back then they don't call monk. They call paripashika. Okay. So we'll run into some Pali term as well. Don't worry about it. Okay. I'll explain to you a little bit here and there. So address the bhikkhu or the monks, okay, of the group of the 5. And who are they? There are 5 of them. Kontanya, Wappa, Pattiya, Mahanama, and Asashi. These are 5 students, 5 ascetics who took care of him during his self-mortification journey. Okay. I don't know if you're familiar with the name Kontanya. Usually Buddhist people kind of familiar with the first name, but the rest, they're not familiar with it. Who is Kontanya anyway? I think it's important for us to get to know this person a little bit. Okay. Kontanya is the Brahmin, very young, smart Brahmin, who was there when Prince Siddhartha was born, and he was invited from the King Suttotana, Prince Siddhartha's father, to give prediction of his newborn child. And that's the tradition in ancient time. Okay. There are group people like this, they call themselves Brahmin. There are 8 of them, the smartest Brahmin or teacher were invited to the palace and give prediction to the son of King Suttotana, which is happened to be Prince Siddhartha. And 7 of them gave the same prediction. They said there are 2 options for the future of this newborn baby. First, he will become the world emperor, become a great king. And the second option, he may become the greatest spiritual leader, the greatest teacher of mankind. 2 options. But Kontanya, the youngest Brahmin, the youngest teacher, give 1 prediction, 1 choice only, 1 option only. And that option got the King Suttotana worried so much. He said, you know what, newborn baby have only one option, which is to be the world's greatest spiritual leader, to become the enlightenment one, to become the Buddha. Instead of the father was happy about that, no, he was so worried about that because he wanted to keep his son in the palace and take over the throne, right? And that's the typical family situation. Fathers, mother, we don't want son to go ordained. We want to keep them here, you know, have a good life, get married, have kids, you know, take care of the family business. That's very understandable situation. The king was not happy. So Kontanya said, no, one option only. And what happened after that? He said he invited several Brahmin, the 4 people is in this name, Wappa, Patiya, Mahanama, Asachi. He invited these 4, you know, they're all teachers as well, but they're not at the top. They said, you know what? I found the Buddha. He born already. Why don't we got ourselves ordained and wait for him to grow up? And then he will become enlightenment. He will come and teach us. The people were very smart back then. So he went to the wood, 4 of them, practice meditation, wait for the Buddha, the young prince, to grow up. They wait for 29 years. 29 years until, you know, this spiritual journeys of Prince Siddhartha, you know, start. Okay, and that's why once the Prince Siddhartha achieved or attained enlightenment, he think of these 5 students. So he inspired them and he gave the first teaching ever. If you remember the question I asked from last episode, in this particular sutra, we consider the first teaching, right? The first teaching, and we expect to hear the keyword called the Four Noble Truths. And you will hear that, you will see that from your own eyes. But in the sutra before that, the Buddha shared himself story of his discovery to another group of monks, not this group of monks. He said what he discovered, he did not mention anything about the Four Noble Truths. This is the beauty of studying sutra. You have to have some sort of detective mind. You cannot just believe whatever you read. The Buddha said, Bhikkhu, again, monks. So there's going to be a lot of text, okay? Don't get bored with that. This is the nature of sutra study. If you expect to be fun and entertainment, you may not find it here. But I think my job is to make it a little bit more enjoyable. Okay, Bhikkhu, these two extreme should not be followed by one who gone forth to homelessness. Basically, these 2 practice, you shouldn't be doing it if you seek for spiritual liberation. What are those 2? Number 1, the pursuit of sensual happiness, sense pleasure. In sensual pleasure, which is low, see, the Buddha complained about it. Low, vulgar, the way of worldlings. This is just for the lay people. Ignoble and unbeneficial. This is number 1 that he said, you guys shouldn't be followed. I have tried them all. If you think of a man born prince, in terms of sense pleasure, he have the best level of sense pleasure, right? Live in the 3 palaces, served by all beautiful young women his whole life. Perfect. He understands what it means by sense pleasure. It doesn't take him anywhere. And the second one is pursuit of self-mortification. This is the second one. Without veering toward either this extreme, the Tathagata, this is another name of the Buddha, okay? Tathagata, the blessed one, the teacher, has awakened to something called the middleweight. This is number 3, which give rise to vision, give rise to knowledge, which leads to peace, direct knowledge, enlightenment, and nibbana. Okay, there are 4 important keywords here. Okay, basically the Buddha explained this student, you know, you guys also spiritual seeker. I am also a spiritual seeker. Now I found something. Okay, what you have been practiced, it doesn't take you anywhere. Listen to me. I'm going to share with you what I found. Number 1, sense pleasure. This is not, you're not going to be successful if you're following this path. Self-mortification. I have done that with you for 6 years. Torture myself, almost dying. Discover nothing. And then when I stopped doing that on my own search, I found something called the middle way. Majjhima Patipatha. The middle way has a very deep deep meaning, which is still debatable with many scholars. We'll get to that in a moment. And then if you follow this middle way, it will take you to what? It will take you to vision. You see something you never seen before. It will take you to knowledge, different kind of knowledge that you never have before. It will take to the peace, okay, sublime peace, supreme peace, serenity, direct knowledge, and enlightenment, which is point to the word nibbana. Basically, if you stop following those two extremes and you follow the middle way, this middle way will take you to some experience called nibbana. We don't call nibbana a place somewhere, Chiang Mai, Bangkok, Germany, California. So we call it experience. You can experience that if you're following this practice. That's basically what it is. So now we are trying to understand what the meaning behind the text. So I hope it's helpful for you when you go back and study by yourself. There's something behind that, and we need someone to guide us. And back then, the question to you is why people practice these two extremes, self-mortification on one side and sense pleasure on another side. If you imagine yourself back then to the Indian time, why these two practice, were very popular. And the Buddha also following these two practice as well. When he was searching for the truth, he practiced them all. He tried them all, and it didn't work. And this is the beauty of his teaching. He said, you know what? Everything I teach, don't believe me. You reflect on it. You put everything you learn into action, and then you have direct experience to my teaching, and then you follow. You can ask questions, leave no doubt in your mind, and then follow my teaching. So aestheticism is one thing here. Sense pleasure is another thing here. If we're talking about mind development, the reason people feel unhappy, feel unfulfilled, because something bothering their mind, right? Everything comes from the mind. So the first idea is that, you know what? Whatever the mind wants, just give it. So follow sense pleasure. What you see, woman, go after woman. Money, go after money. Whatever it is. Through your sense door, eyes, ear, nose, tongue, taste, touch, give it to your mind. And one day the mind will get bored and you are liberated. That's the idea. And another idea is oppositely, you know what? Whatever the mind wants, don't give anything to the mind. That's called the defilement or mental impurity. If you keep giving everything the mind wants, you will learn nothing, you will gain nothing. The body want to eat good food, go eat good food. Sometimes you drive 3 hours just to eat your favorite restaurant and drive back 3 hours just to please your tongue. You want to sit in the aircon, you don't want to sit in the hot open hall like this. So you always work oppositely. Whatever the mind wants, don't give it to him. So that's why self-mortification is quite extreme. The Buddha did that 6 years. He started from lessen his food, less and less, until coming down to 1 grain of rice, until stop eating. And one particular sutra, the Buddha said, when he touched his stomach, he can feel his spine. You see that picture? This one. When he touched his stomach, he can feel his spine. And when he grabbed his skin, all the hair was falling. Because the body don't have nutrition, right? So he tortured himself. When it's hot, you sit under the sun, meditate over there. When it's cold, don't put the blanket on, you sit under the snow. Okay, you look for the comfort bed, you sleep on the nail bed. Whatever the mind wants, don't give it to the mind. This is how you play with your own mind. Sometimes he pressed his tongue on his teeth and hold the breath until he fainted. You see, no human being has ever been able to do such extreme self-mortification like the Buddha himself. So he claimed that I have done them all. Sense pleasure, I have tried them all. Self-mortification, I have tried them all. And now I come to the conclusion, both of them, it didn't work. So gentlemen, listen to me. I'm going to share with you what I found. Okay, this is the starting point of this sutra. And to keep it summarized for the first part, so we can kind of have the right understanding, the Buddha discovered at least 2 things here. The first one he called the middle way. The concept of middle way never exists before in his time. Never exists. People only talk about sense pleasure or talk about self-mortification. So you either practice either one of this and hope that your mind will be liberated. When you torture your mind long enough, torture your body long enough, the mind will be liberated. When you overindulge in sense pleasure long enough, eventually your mind will be liberated. And that's what people believe. And the Buddha rejects those ideas. He said, if you practice this, two of this, it only kept you in the mundane state. You will go nowhere. But I found something, the middle way. The middle way will take you to the supramundane state, and that's point to Nibbana. Okay, the middle way point to the path. The middle way point to the path. There is some path that you should practice. And when you practice this, it will take you to Nibbana. That's the explanation of the first paragraph of this sutra. Okay, I'll come back to this in a moment. Let's move on. And then the Buddha said, you know what? Bhikkhu, this is that middle way or the path awakened by Tathagata, by myself, which give rise to vision, give rise to knowledge, give rise to higher knowledge, and lead to Nibbana. It is something called the Noble Eightfold Path. So Noble Eightfold Path appear for the first time in this sutra, in the Buddhist text, in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. The Eightfold Path. Again, what are those Eightfold Paths? The right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. There are 8 of them. We will not go to each one of them today. There's another topic, talk about Eightfold Path only. It's another 1 or 2 hours. We'll get to that. This bhikkhu is the middle way. Okay, he emphasized that this is 8 of this is called the middle way. And the middle way will take those who practice or following this practice to Nibbana, to attain or to realize Nibbana. Okay, and this is how it looks in the text when you study by yourself. And then the Buddha started explain the Four Noble Truths in this sutra. So that is why when you ask most Buddhists, what exactly that the Buddha teach? People would say the Buddha teach about the Four Noble Truths. Where it comes from? It's come from here. So now I take you to the primary source of the teaching of the Buddha. It gives you confidence to give the answer for people who ask you what did exactly that the Buddha teach. He teaches the Four Noble Truths. But as the Buddhist man, as the true Buddhist people, you should know deeper than this. So get back to the previous episode to study Ariya Pariyesana Sutra, what exactly that he teaches. The Buddha talk about dukkha. Again, today Luang Pi will not explain what is dukkha, what is samudaya or cause of suffering, what is cessation, what is the Eightfold Path. I'll give you the tour first, and then we zoom in detail in the next session or later session. Dukkha, now bhikkhu, is the noble. There is the word noble all the time. Noble truth of suffering. By the way, what it means by noble? Noble mean what? Is that just the normal truth or it's like something special? If it's regular, someone would have found it long time ago. But because it's so difficult to be found, okay, it's called noble. And the noble truth, when you hear the word truth, in Buddhism, this truth means unchangeable truth. It's true 2,500 years ago, it's true now, it will be true 1,000 years from now, 5,000 years from now. It never changed. Let's say human being, we born, we get old, we die. Can someone deny that fact? 100 years ago, we didn't exist. 100 years from now, all of us gone. This is the truth. So the noble truth means the truth that unchangeable, that's one meaning. And it ennoble us to be a noble person if you know this truth. And that's called noble truth. We are so ignoble. We don't know that we don't know. And now we get to know this truth. And by knowing and understanding fully about this four truth, it helps us to become a noble person. And that's why it's called noble truth. Birth is suffering. Aging is suffering. Illness is suffering. Death is suffering. Union with, okay, some people we don't like, it's suffering. Separate from someone we like, someone we love, something we like. Separate from them, we're suffering. Not getting what we want, also suffering. okay, not get what we want, also suffering. If you read through this quickly, you may not be surprised. I know that. Illness, suffering, because we don't feel good when we get ill, headache, stomach ache. Heartbroken is suffering. Separate from someone we love, suffering. My mom, my dad died. I was crying. That's suffering. I understand that. Do we need to wait for the Buddha to tell us, hey guys, this is called suffering? You don't. But he starts off from something simple that people can relate it to give you the foundation that, hey, life is suffering. But this last sentence is the most important sentence. And I think this is something he wants us to understand the deep meaning of the word dukkha. Dukkha is not just suffering, not just pain, not just distress, not just oppression. Dukkha is everything where you feel unhappy, feel unsatisfactoriness, feel agitated. And the last sentence is the critical meaning of the word dukkha. The 5 aggregates subject to clinging are suffering. Basically, you have a wrong view of clinging on something, and that wrong view of clinging will lead your life to suffering or dukkha. We'll get to that. There's a topic on the 5 aggregates later. So here, just get to know the term and where things are listed in this particular sutra. And the second thing, the Buddha talked about the second noble truth, the Pali called samudaya. Now, Bhikkhu, is the noble truth of what? The noble truth of origin of suffering. Everything comes with cause. Okay, the dukkha here, and now he moved on to what caused dukkha. He mentioned that dukkha comes from wrong clinging, right? Come from wrong clinging, and now he is going to point to what exactly that caused us to have wrong clinging. That's why we are suffering. It is this craving. The technical term here is called Tanha. Is it craving or thirst? You feel like thirsty, right? Then you need water. Craving means thirst. Okay, thirst comes from ignorance, come from not knowing the way things are. Craving lead to what? Becoming, lead to accompanied by delight, lust, and seeking delight here and there. This is the Buddha give the definition what he means by craving. If you read carefully, he already give definition. And this is called the first craving called Kama Tanha. Kama Tanha means crave for sense pleasure. That's number 1 craving that cause us suffering. And the second disease, second virus that cause us suffering, second Tanha is called Bhava Tanha. Crave for what? Crave for becoming, crave for existence, crave to be. I'll give you example in a moment. Craving, the last one is craving for this becoming. It's called Vibhava Tanha, crave for non-existence, crave for extermination. Okay, to keep it simple, craving is I like and I don't like minded. Whenever you like or don't like something, keep in mind that craving is working now in your mind. Because when you like something, you go after it. If you don't like something, you run away from it. If you're neutral, nothing can bother you. You walk past by the shop, you see the new iPhone, you like it, you go buy it, even though you don't have money. It doesn't matter. I borrow someone money because I want to have it. Why you want to have it? If you think deeper, what makes you want to have it? That's what Buddha talk about. This is called Kama Tanha. This virus causes you to go after something that you want. It's not something that you need at the moment, but you want it. This is the craving. And once you have it, okay, you want to have that phone in that good condition forever. If you break it, you feel sad. Someone stole from you, you feel sad. You want to have it like that, in good shape for a very long time. Then you can be happy. Something happened to that phone, you upset, you feel sad. And that sadness is called dukkha in the eyes of the Buddha. It's called suffering. And after a few years, the phone was obsolete. iPhone 20 come up. You know what? I'm going to find reason to get rid of this phone. Either sell it, give to your brothers, whatever it is. So you have a reason to get a new one. And this is called Vibhava Tanha. You don't want it no more. You guys see the picture? And the third one is Nrota. Nrota is the third thing that he discovered and he shared with these 5 aesthetics. What is meant by Nrota? The word for Nrota is called cessation. Nrota is the noble truth of cessation of what? Cessation of suffering. It is the remainderless fading away and cessation of the same craving, the giving up and the relinquishing of it, freedom from it, non-reliance on it. Basically, Nrota is understanding that the cause of craving can be removed. Okay, to keep it simple, it can be removed, but he did not explain how to remove it yet. And then the last one, the Buddha talked about the middle way, the Makkha or the Eightfold Path. Now, Bhikkhu is the noble truth of the way that lead to the cessation of suffering. Now he explained a little bit about how to remove those cravings from our mind. It is the noble Eightfold Path. If you're following this noble Eightfold Path, right view, right thinking, right speech, right action, until right concentration, all of these 8 things fully master, then you will be free from those cravings. No more suffering. That's the idea. This is the concept. This is the big picture. Then the Buddha explained, he is not done yet. Okay. He said, this is the noble truth of suffering or dukkha. Thus, monks, in regard to things that unheard before, there arose in me vision, in knowledge, in wisdom, in true knowledge and light. I never heard of this thing before. No one teach me like this before, that there is something called suffering. There's something called dukkha. And then the noble truth of suffering. Now he talking about responsibility. He not just give the concept. He telling, those 5 aesthetics, you guys, you have responsibility for each particular noble truth. And this is the first one. Okay, the first noble truth. There are 3 responsibilities for you to master for the first noble truth. The first one is to aware, to understand that dukkha is the foundation of life. It does exist, it's real. The noble truth of suffering is to be what? Fully understood. Thus, and then same thing repeated here. You never heard before, the knowledge arrive, vision arrive, understanding arrive. And then this noble truth of suffering has been fully understood. So there are 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, that you must practice according to the first noble truth. And then it applies for the rest. The second noble truth, samudaya, which is cause of craving. The third noble truth, nirota, which is the cessation of suffering. And the last one, the makkha, the path that lead to free ourselves from suffering. So this thing to keep in this picture, it help you understand much better. We call the 3 turn of 12 aspects of the 4 noble truth. This is getting more interesting. Let's take a look. The first one is dukkha. This is the first noble truth, right? The second noble truth is samudaya, and the third noble truth is nirota, and the fourth noble truth is makkha. 3 turning and 12 aspects must be fully fulfilled. Then you can claim yourself that I am awakened person. I have attained enlightenment. If all these have not been fulfilled, you cannot be called yourself awakened person. Not yet, but you on your way. Let's take a look. Dukkha, the first noble truth, you must understand that it exists. Suffering is like this. Now I know this is suffering. A lot of people don't know this is suffering. Okay, and once you you get to know it already. Suffering is observed to be what? To be clearly understood. You not just know, you understand. And then you come down to the last aspect of your practice, that you know what? I am fully understand. This is dukkha. 3 steps. So if you pay attention closer, this is what most Buddhist people practice wrongly when they face dukkha. You can relate to yourself. Let's say you love a woman and she left you. You feel unhappy. Your heart got broken. This is considered dukkha and unsatisfactoriness because someone you love leave you. This is dukkha. And what do you do with this situation? What most people do? They go drink, they go dance, they go drug, they go gambling, they kill time, or they jump off the roof, committed suicide. This is dukkha. You don't see it. This is dukkha. This is the nature of life. And the Buddha gives us the hint here. What should we do when we encounter any kind of dukkha in life? He said, dukkha is for understanding. Gentlemen, keep this in mind. Dukkha is not for being. People, when they're suffering, they become a suffering person, a suffering being. But dukkha, Buddha said, dukkha is for understanding. You understand. You don't become. Understand the situation. Okay, she doesn't love me, so what? What did I do wrong? You reflect on yourself. Maybe I'm a lazy man. Maybe I'm someone I did something wrong. You reflect on the situation. What went wrong? This is wisdom. Don't just harm yourself, hurt yourself, committed suicide. People lack of wisdom. And samudaya, if there is a dukkha, there will be a cause of that dukkha. This is something mentioned here. The cause of suffering is like this. What is it? It's tanha, craving. Cause of suffering is to be abandoned. You should abandon whatever take you to be suffer. And then cause of suffering has been fully abandoned. Once these three things have been mastered, then you kind of be able to get rid of the cause of suffering. And then the third one, Nrota, the cessation of suffering is like this. So I kind of understand that this is sukha, this is the cause of sukha, and I know the cause of sukha can be removed. This is the third one. And then the cessation of suffering is to be realized. You must be realized that it can be removed. Every situation, we can do something about it wisely. And then the cessation of suffering has been realized. Now I know for sure that this cause of suffering I can remove. If the girl don't love me, I have my way to deal with my suffering. I will not commit suicide for sure. Okay? Don't just learn the theory related to your real example. And the last one, the way of cessation is like this. You know what? There's a way to do that. And this is the way. The way of cessation of suffering is to be cultivated. You must practice. And then the way of lead to cessation of suffering has been fully cultivated. So these three terms keep in mind. And no one have discovered this before. The Buddha happened to be the first one. And he said, you know what, this sentence is very important. And not many people come to this far. People only think, oh, Four Noble Truths, 4 of them, I got it. That's it. No, we have known Four Noble Truths since I was in the first grade. I still don't know what it is. And in fact, the Four Noble Truths is considered the advanced Dhamma in Buddhism. We're talking about Vipassana level. And if you think you understand, you think again. If you understand, you shouldn't have any worry, suffering in your mind. Here, let's take a look. So long, Bhikkhu, as my knowledge and vision of these Four Noble Truths, as they really are, okay, in their three phases, this 3 round and 12 aspect, was not what? Was not thoroughly purified this way. I did not claim that I have awakened or enlightenment yet. I have not. But when my knowledge and vision of these Four Noble Truths, as they really are in their 3 phases and 12 aspects, was thoroughly purifying in this way. In this way mean what? 3 round 12 aspects in this way was fully, thoroughly understood. Then I can claim. I claim that I have awakened to the unsurpassed perfect enlightenment in this world. And then the knowledge and vision arose in me, unshakable, is the liberation of my mind. This is my last birth. Now there is no more renewed existence. So he arrived at Nibbana, stage of mind. He have attained Nibbana. So if someone can proclaim that I have achieved enlightenment, so that implies that that person has been fully understood the Four Noble Truths in the 3 round and 12 aspects. And that is why people come to the short conclusion that, okay, Buddha talked about the Four Noble Truths and the main teaching of the Buddha is about Four Noble Truth, which is perfectly correct. But I want you to know deeper than that, be able to explain deeper than that. Or not just, oh, dukkha, okay, cause of dukkha, and the Eightfold Path. Okay, and the last sentence of this sutra, one person, you can guess, Anya Kontanya, right? The smartest Brahmins who give prediction to the Prince Siddhartha, he got it. He fully understood what the Buddha teach. So he was able to achieve the first level of enlightenment. Then the blessed one, the Buddha said, the blessed one means the Buddha. The Buddha said, Kontanya has indeed understood. Kontanya has indeed understood. Kontanya has indeed understood. So that's why he got his name called Anya Kontanya, which is the one who has understood. The Buddha was so, I don't want to use the word excited. If you discover something and then you can prove that someone can see the same thing as you see, right? You kind of have confidence, right? Oh, okay, what I found is the truth. And that man can realize the same truth. Something like that. So Anya Kontanya happened to be the first witness of his discovery, of his enlightenment. So he attained Sodapattana. This is the first level of enlightenment. And later on, that's the retreat. 5 of them, those 5 students, have attained arahantship, fully purified, fully understood the Four Noble Truths in that, that's retreat. And that is why, to me, the second teaching after this is very critical. The first teaching, Dhammacakkappavattana, okay, Four Noble Truths, Eightfold Path, right? One person understand, but another 4, they still did not understand. But after listening to the second teaching, all of them fully understood and become arahantship, fully liberated. So if you are new to Buddhism, the first 3 discourses to me is very important to get to know all the philosophical thinking of the Buddha, the idea of the Buddha. Dhammacakka, what is Dhammacakka? So he laid out the foundation of life, right? Nature of life, suffering, craving, and how to deal with craving. What is the Eightfold Path? And then the second sutra, he talking about self and non-self. This is what people cling on. The reason we do self-mortification, or the reason we do sense pleasure practice, because we believe in something called permanent self. If you please that self, then you are liberated. The Buddha rejected that idea in the second teaching. Interesting, right? Okay, so here is the summary, almost done. In this Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the Buddha talk about 3 main concepts. The first concept is called the middle way, which is something rise above extremes, self-mortification, and overindulge in sense pleasure. The middle way is not something in between. You cannot draw 2 lines and mark the center as and call the middle way. No, it's something never exists. It's right above these 2 extremes. Okay, it's above, and this middle way lead to what? Lead to Nibbana, supramundane state of spiritual liberation. If you following the same 2 practices that people has been practicing, you will stay at the mundane state forever. The mind cannot be fully liberated. And the second concept, the Buddha talked about the path or the Eightfold Path. See, this is the meaning of the middle way. One meaning from the text. If you read the text point you specifically to the Eightfold Path. Okay, Majjhima Patipatha, middle way, Eightfold Path. Ideally, we understand. But practically, how do you practice middle way? How? How much should you eat? How much should you exercise? How much should you sleep? How much should you meditate? What is middle way? When you meditate, what it means by middle way? Getting deeper. So to me, the deepest meaning of the middle way in practically is to keep the mind at the center of the body. According to the discovery of the master Sotjantasaro, Pramangkol Thepmuni, he discovered the Majjhima Patipatha from his own practice, that the mind should be kept here in order for the mind to go deeper and achieve enlightenment. The mind cannot be somewhere else. And nobody mentioned this anywhere in any books that I read. Don't take my word for it, okay? I'm just sharing with you what I know and put into practice. And the third concept is, when mind, knowledge, and vision of this, okay, what? Of the Four Noble Truths. Number 1 is the middle way. Number 2 is the Eightfold Path. And number 3 is the concept of the Four Noble Truths mentioned in the first teaching of the Buddha. We will get to know each Four Noble Truths later. we will get to know each one of the Eightfold Path later, different lecture. And here is just the idea. If you don't remember anything of today, I think this sentence is critical. This is the core teaching of the Buddha. Everything you learn, it must point you or lead your life to free yourself from suffering. The Buddha said clearly in one teaching to his one of the chief disciple, Nrota. He said, in the past and now, I teach suffering and the cessation of suffering. This is his main teaching. He was not interested in debating about philosophical question. A lot of people come and ask him about life after death, about the existence, about the heaven and hell, about the universe when it exists, how long the universe, how many sun, how many stars. Those kind of questions was asked to the Buddha. He was not so much interested to answer those questions. It's such a waste of time. In one simile, he used, if you got shot by the arrow into your back, now the arrow is in your back, what should you do as your priority? You should get yourself to see the doctor, right? To get yourself healed first. Instead of demanding the answer, who shot me? What kind of arrow? What it made from? Where is he from? What his name? What his father's name? You go find those answers first and then you die. Your job is to make sure that you free from this suffering first, and then you go find the answer. Who shot you? Why did he shoot you? Same thing now, all of us, we are burning with three fire. The fire of lust, right? The fire of hatred, the fire of delusion. These three set of fire is in our mind the day we born, and it's keep burning us every single breath that we take. And he raised that awareness in his 45 years of his teaching career. He tell people, everyone he met, you know what, this is the nature of you. Extinguishing that fire is number one priority in life. And then go figure out who created the universe later. Even though you know the answer, you're still suffering on a daily basis. Okay, so hope everyone learned something today. I know that, especially Buddhist people, everyone know about Dhammacakkappavattana, everyone know how to chant Dhammacakkappavattana, everyone know about the Four Noble Truths. But how many people actually go back to the primary source of this particular sutra and look from your own eye what the Buddha said? Today, you have witnessed that. Okay, I brought everything from the Buddhist text of this sutra to share with you all. So I hope it's motivate you to continue practice. I hope it gives you confidence, in following the Buddha teaching, especially the Four Noble Truths. And everything that we learn, every teaching of the Buddha that we learn, it must coming down to practice. And that practice should lead your life to be a happy person, to lessen suffering in your life, to lessen conflict in your life, whoever you are. If you are a father, you need to apply the right teaching to play the father roles. Do your best to be a good father. If you are a wife, if you are children, if you are a boss, if you are the politicians, if you whatever you are, then you can lessen your suffering. You can live life happy or happier. You can be happy of whoever you are. The Buddha did not suggest or encourage everyone to, close your business and go ordain. Leave your wife behind, leave your kid behind, get yourself ordained. No, he didn't say that. Be happy, whoever you are. Apply the right teaching into daily routine life, whatever you do. Then you can be happy. You can be a happy father, you can be a happy boss, you can be a happy student. And that's the beauty of study the teaching of the Buddha. So with that, I think it's okay for today. So until we meet again, hope everyone stay safe, stay happy, stay positive, and put everything you learn into practice. With that, let's pay respect to the triple gem and then we take a break. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagavan Puttang Bhagavantang Abhivantemi Savankanto Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Saṅghang Namami.